Ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday, December 3rd, 2012, and it's time to discuss something that the community has had some issues with lately. They've been accusing the Terran versus Zerg matchup of being imbalanced, and it's not clear why they think that is. Could be the production of Zerg, it could be the creep spread, perhaps it is the versatility of the Queen. A lot of people hate the Infestor, and I'm really excited because I have an Infestor hat, which, by the way, goes really well with a dash cunning amount of conditioner in the hair. Oh no. Oh, what is this spike? Okay, let's go ahead and do the daily. It's daily 529, where we learn to be a better gamer, and today's topic is the Terran versus Zerg matchup from the Terran point of view. Oh, yes! I know a lot of you are just going, but data and statistics and blah, and all that sort of stuff. And the goal of today's daily is to try to explore what are things that Terran players have not been doing, and as a result, how Zergs are starting to take advantage of that, and what is helping give Zerg so many big options today. And again, I know there's people out there who will say, oh my god, Zerg are winning 90% of the time. And I'm not going to present a build that'll be like, and this one wins 90% of the time with Terran. It's to create a new framework for thinking about the matchup to sort of eradicate what a lot of people are doing, which is almost no pressure in the slightest in the matchup. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second and about TSL Polt. But of course, I want to announce that this weekend I will be in Long Beach doing the NASL Season 4 Grand Finals. I hope to see you there. It is within driving distance for me, so I do not have to worry about things such as jet lag or general travel exhaustion, so I should have a little bit more freedom to say hello. So please, I encourage you to come and say hello, and of course to check out the excessively stacked top 16 finals. Let me drink some coffee and think if there's anything else I need to say. Yes, the Iron Squid broadcast. Thank you, chat. The Iron Squid broadcast will be continuing on Wednesday. Group B happened today. The next group will be on Wednesday morning. So I thoroughly encourage you to attend. Over on day9.tv, we should be posting that event here quite soon. So do that. Is there anything else, or do we just want to talk about some TvZ? Anything else? TvZ? Should we do TvZ? What do you think? I think so. Let's describe the structure of today's daily. We're going to begin the daily by showing graphs of how pressuring works against opponents over time, and I will be using MS Paint to draw them graphs. So these will be amazing. These will be wonderful. And hopefully this will give you a sense of what I feel is a sort of neglected area in the matchup. And using this graph, we'll have the opportunity to explore what I would describe as an incredibly standard Terran versus Zerg. We'll see very explicitly what some of these notions are. Again, using an example of the theory in the game. And then, in part 2 and 3, we'll be looking at games from TSL Polt, where we'll see him doing something that is very, very, very counter to what most players are doing. It's a very attack-heavy style, exploits the Marauder in the mid-game, which is pretty sweet. So let us talk about Terran versus Zerg. Oh, yes. The matchup where no one knows how to beat the Impesta. Impesta. God, oh my god. This is the greatest thing about having a public mailbox. He can feed me. Get that food in there, Sean. Is that I get things like this. This is... to the fine individual who sent this, you know who you are. Ding! TYVM. Was it Felicity? Okay. I want to do something extra especial and show a graph of what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to see dum-ba-dum-da-da! A graph, the definitive graph of how TvZ works, uncontested in all the world.png, because everyone knows JPEG has way too much quality loss. This is the time of the game, and we can even add a couple labels here. There we go. So this is the 4-minute, 8-minute, 12-minute, 16-minute mark. Here's the beginning of the game at 0 minutes, and this E denotes electricity. No, this is the end of the game. This is the pressure that we are applying in a direct sense. Now, I know for a fact that a lot of people would argue that an expansion is a form of pressure because your opponent has to have a response to it. I better kill that expansion or I better do something immediate as a result. I'm going to ignore that. This pressure is direct aggressive pressure, and in fact, I will show this with a red line mark. Cool. And the unit of measurement on pressure is PSI. No, this pressure is just in an abstract sort of quality. So let's draw some graphs. Here is a graph of someone who doesn't attack and expands for a really long time and then suddenly attacks once he has a maxed army. Okay. That's what this would look like. What about the graph of someone who does some early harassment and then expands and then does a big attack later? Cool. We're starting to see how these graphs will look. What about a 6 pool? Okay, cool. We understand how this graph is starting to represent things. So what I am going to now show is the way that normal Terran versus Zerg is looking nowadays. I should probably begin at the 0 pressure mark because it's not like, well, the game begins and you're stressed out because of ladder anxiety, so holy shit, the pressure is non-zero. No, I'm actually gonna ignore that. We should probably, yeah, I guess a 6 pool looks more like this. Guys, this is so fun. I told you this should front page of /r/science/r/StarCraft and certainly /r/. I don't know. Control Z, damn it, Control Z. Okay, so now what we're going to look at is, let me do a blue line. Let's do this one. So here, this blue is Terran, standard play. Terran, standard. God almighty, that's hard. Okay, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to be using this font technique, so I can say Terran, standard. Oh, that's so much better. I will drop the font size a little bit. Yeah, what is this? Let's make this 20. Yeah. This is the standard Terran sort of line that we're going to be drawing. And let's think about the way that this tends to work in its simplest form, right? We begin the game by expanding, and then we build some Hellions and some Banshees. Actually, it's probably not that strong. First, we get our expand up, right? Building some Marines, maybe harassing with some Marines. And then what do? We get some Hellion Banshee to go up and put some pressure on the Zerg. Probably something like this. And then Zerg starts to be able to deal with our stuff, but that's okay because we're expanding and we're upgrading like crazy. And then starting around this moment, we really ramp up into high gear. In fact, we ramp up into mega high gear. And we hope that we don't run out of money. This is the standard Terran. So the big things I want to note are right here is where, actually I'll do this. Right here is where Hellion Banshee happens. Right here is where Zerg is pretty much held off everything and we're just chilling, getting upgrades. And this is where Terrans are banking everything. This is the Terran money play. So let's go ahead and take a look at this in action in ×8 speed format. Now, we can do this with mech. We can certainly do it with the sound on. We can do this with mech. We sometimes see this with Marines. We sometimes see this with Hellion Banshee. We sometimes see it with Marine Tank. It doesn't matter. Here's the basic format, right? So we get our expansion up, and see, everything's very low at this point in time. And then at this point in time, so we're looking at Bomber right now, because what we're trying to do is give an example of this Terran standard, so we can see the flaws, and then we can see what Polt does to alleviate this. But look, so right around here, we're starting to put some Hellion pressure. This is right in this moment. So blah bitty blah, and look what we do. We get these engineering bays 1-1. I don't care if you're going for Banshees or going for tanks in the way that Bomber does. We're getting our third command center, mega powering. And sure, we're shooting at a couple of things, trying to deal some damage. And then, look what happens as we approach 9-10 minutes. This dip happens where we can't do a damn thing. And this is clear then why this happens. Because back home, what are we doing? We have 10 Marines and 1 tank. Cool, not an attack force. But we're getting upgrades. Thank goodness for ×8 speed. If it's lagging out, we're losing frames and the encoder's going apeshit. No worries whatsoever. We don't really care so much. Minimal harassment pressure. Zerg's just powering. Glaring at us, glowering as we power up. We're getting 2-2 started. Oh my god, how are we doing on time? Oh, geez, we're not even going to be able to apply pressure for a little while. Oh, the tanks, they're skating, they're in the wrong place. Thank goodness we have a medevac to be able to transport them. Let's bunker up, because God knows that we don't want to die to a counterattack. So we siege our tanks up and we begin applying a little bit of pressure. We begin doing some damage to the destructible rocks. And here comes the big killer, Big Daddy push. So technically what I should do is slightly amend this diagram. I should probably be removing this chunk and maybe starting the upward swell a little bit earlier. Oh, gimme the blue. But you're still seeing the same basic idea happen here. We are waiting stupid long. And then we have to deal with some counterattacks, and we have to deal with his defensive infester abilities. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Now, if you've watched Bomber at all, I'm actually going to mute it so that way the explosions aren't too loud. If you watch Bomber a lot, this is essentially what he does. Do we see an extra command center? No. Look at this. There's actually no 4th command center. We're just straight pressure. You see in this period, this is the pressure period. Do damage. Oh no, it didn't work. Well, that's okay. Are we going to expand? Hell no! We're going to keep upgrading. We're going to keep slamming out stuff. And what we're really trying to have our edge in is these upgrades. This is Terran standard. We can't even expand. We're going to continue to hurl units. Now, the funny thing of all of this is the fact that, where is this command center? This one right here might not even land anywhere, which is why I have this plummetus drop happening, which is why I have this thing going on. See, Bomber? You see how he's just still pressure, apply all the pressure. 3-3 is better than 2-3, isn't it? 2-3. Can I select a unit in time to show the level 2 upgrades? Yes, I can. Pressure, etc. The reason I'm showing you this is that I'm trying to give you a sense of the way that this matchup looks thus far. I'm going to completely ignore how this game ends for a moment and emphasize this graph, this look. Now, what I will emphasize, and in fact, I'm slowly adjusting this graph over time just to exaggerate some portions and, of course, to be accurate because God knows I can't get my mouse hand to be quite so great. I want to emphasize for the Zerg player, which will now be in purple, what goes on in this range. This is the period where I'm really interested. Actually, maybe just a little bit earlier, from about 7 to 15 minutes. This, in my eyes, is where all the problems of the matchup occur. So this is where... Oh, cool, I can even scroll down into this abyss. This is where Zerg powering occurs. This is where all the droning occurs, all the upgrades occur, all the not building of units occur. And why is that? Because Terrans are just making Hellion Banshee. So when I say this is the problem period in the standard matchup, I'm going to use this game right here as an example. Let us journey back to the 6-minute mark. You know, I realize now I can... Oh God, this is going to be painful. This is going to sting you guys. This is... Oh, that's so much better. Look what happens for the Zerg in this period of 6 to around 13 minutes. Bum-ba-dum-dum. Okay, An expand happens, one form of powering. Double upgrades go down. And look at this, we're not even upgrading Zerglings because Infestors use missile attack. And come on guys, Infestors. Alright, what else is happening? Zerg getting a layer up. Let's look at the production tab in terms of units. I'll actually leave it as the unit tab for now because there's a lot of clutter on production. Look at this. Drones, 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 drones. Building drones, building drones. Getting upgrades. Glial reconstitution, pathogen glands. Burrow, upgrades. Drones, drones, drones. All the geysers are up. Drones, 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 drones. In fact, when do we hit that critical mass of 75? My God, we hit it at 11 minutes? No way! Infestors 2? Ugh! And I'd still like to note, wow, Terran doesn't even begin pressure until 15 minutes. No way. No way. Look at this. Powering drones, drones, drones. What do you think about expanding? Well, Violet thinks about expanding, and he's going to get it. When? The 12-minute mark. He's continuing to upgrade, Baneling upgrades. We still haven't been harassed. I mean, gosh, we may as well stop building drones because we haven't really had any pressure put on us. Let's set up a counterattack. We're going to start the Hive. The Hive's likely going to be done at 15 minutes. More geysers. Drones, 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 drones. Ugh. See what I mean by Zerg powering? Zerg got to do whatever the heck he wanted, which now allows me to state in a very clear and simple fashion, using the ever so uncontested definition of how the current Zerg vs. Terran metagame is going. Terrans are applying moderate pressure and powering hard in order to have a super huge attack that happens later. And in fact, I will put here Terran powering. And here's the attack with 2-2 generally. Here are the periods in which this is happening. See this attack period. Yeah, here's the attack. Here's the Terran powering. Right here. But the real issue is that right when Zerg is getting his powering up, right when Zerg is starting to really kick into high gear, really starting to get all the key things, our aggression is going down. Sure, it's aligned with our powering, but I want to emphasize that our aggression is going down. I haven't said that this is good or bad or right or wrong. I am simply saying that Terran players have been saying to themselves, man, Zerg is really good in late game. How do I deal with that? The standard approach, and in particular the bomber approach, is to make this attack as strong as possible. And that's what this push is right now. It's huge. 86 Marines, 10 tanks, 4 medevacs, and 2-2. This is freaking enormous. And in our production, we can actually make Marines 15 at a time, it looks like. Yeah, 15 at a time. I don't know if that's right or not. I'm not going to double check. So this is what Terrans are doing, dumping heavily into here. And what I am now going to show in part 2 of this daily is that in this segment, this is where Polt really shines, and he's de-emphasizing this period. This is not the emphasis for Polt. He's going to try to hit Zerg right here. I will not argue that this is the solution that makes it now 100% win rate for Terran. What I will argue is that very often Terran players are completely neglecting this vulnerable time. Completely neglecting. Have you ever seen mech players? They do the exact same curve. Hellion Banshee, and then they're making tanks and Thors defensively, and then they push out when they're maxed. Mech has this exact same curve. Remember MVP versus Life? Why was that successful for MVP in some mecha games? Because he would hit with Blue Flame Hellions right at this time, right between the 8 and 10 minute mark. He would do a huge strike. Therefore, let's go ahead and step into part 2 where we're going to see what Polt does. We're going to contrast it with this graph, and then we'll get the sense of some different openings we can do in the matchup. God, that was kick-ass! Oh, yes! Victory! Oh, yes! Be right back.